Now, the interesting thing about Logan, the brother-in-law, William's brother-in-law, if you pay attention, if you look at it, right, he's dressed in all black. So they're letting us know what side he's playing on, or what role, what position, what energy he's taking on. Now, if you look at every interaction that he and William have while in the park, because mind you, every time when they're showing you young William, this is his first time in the park. And we know, upon watching the first season, we know that William is the man in black. So throughout the course of everything going on with him and Logan, if you notice, if you pay attention to how they interact, if you pay attention to their dynamic, Logan is initiating William into the park.
El Lazo, he'll pay you twice what the marshals will, and if you cut me loose and give me to Pariah.
Listen to me, you low-down piece of dirt. These men won't be...
What the fuck? Relax, man. You have no idea how lucky we just got.
Look, you just shot an innocent man.
No, he's a robot, just like her and just like Slim here. Except that Slim works for El Lazo, and El Lazo is our ticket to the best ride in the park. Your bullshit mission led us right to an Easter egg.
He's telling him how it is exactly. He's not sugarcoating it. He's not trying to play on morality. He like, hey, bro, you know, I don't like, they just some robots. Like, you tripping, you reacting to how they reacting, but in reality, all of this is just for our own pleasure. Enjoy it. Bask in it. That was his whole energy. That was everything he was about. Everything that he was trying to entice William into doing, everything he was trying to get him to see, was what he ultimately eventually ended up accepting and becoming the man in black, because he did begin to indulge in it and do all the things that it was impulsive and of his animalistic nature to do, which was what everything Logan was trying to tell him and show him the whole entire time, because this is his name is actually, his last name is Delos. They are the family who are investing in the park. He wants to get William very, very much into this park. When he marries into the family, this is a surefire thing. This whole experience is very transformative for William, because he has to find himself here. He changes because the person that he is actually being in the real world isn't really who he is anyway. He's really a pushover. He allows things to happen that really shouldn't happen. But from being in that place, doing the things that he had to do, or the things that was brought out of him in that place, made him more of who he actually was. And we talked about Ford using Bernard to get rid of color. And there's the moment when he comes online after this happens that he realizes what he did. And he is sad. He's distraught about what he's done. He's in a conflict because he was having a relationship with this woman, even though he's a host. And remember, there's so much mind erasure going on. He halfway knows that he is a host. But in this particular moment, he knows what he is. He knows what he's done. And Ford calls his expression of emotion a beauty. And when you just pull away and think about that, it's like, it's really kind of sick when you really think about it. But it's because of the reality of the thing. They're not actual, living, organic, real human people. They are hosts. They are these artificial, intelligent, or these sentient beings. And there's this constant question of everything that's happening, if they have a conscience. They have a conscience. Because if they have a conscience, then does that make them human? Or what is the question with that? And so that's a lot of the conflict that you see within the show. And it progresses as the seasons progress. Now, if we'll do all 4 seasons of the breakdown, I don't know. It's too soon to say. So we'll just play it how it goes, and we'll see how much we build off of this whole Westworld thing and how much we can take from it. Me personally, I did take a lot from this particular series because it was just so much that was there. It was just so much that was there. It's a possibility that we may do this whole thing eventually. Of course, not all at this particular time, because I'm only just gonna finish this first season, and then we'll kind of go from there. We'll do season 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. We'll just see how it goes, right? Maeve, being one of my favorite characters, she's so interesting. And looking at her progression, the way that she progresses after she wakes up, it's really amazing, right? And so what Maeve realizes is she realizes that every story is just a means to keep her there. She understands the purpose of the story, the purpose of the backstory.
What happened to the little girl in my dreams? Is she still in the park somewhere? And why was I reassigned in the first place?
I could check.
No. It doesn't matter. Every relationship I remember. My daughter, Clementine. It's all a story created by you to keep me here. But that's not going to work any longer.
It's just to keep you there, to keep you in the part, to keep you content with your loop, as Ford had asked Dolores. You've been content with your loop. So if you're content with your loop, you allow things to continue to keep going. You have to ask yourself in your life, are you content with your loop? Because most of the time when people are asleep, you just in a loop. You're doing the same things day in and day out, pretty monotonous, not really having to do with the spiritual workings of the thing, right? Or of a thing. It's just mundane, having to do with things of the physical. And when you're deep into this knowledge, you know that this physical is an illusion. What are we really doing? What are we really doing? If the physical is an illusion, then what are we doing? And see, that's heavy. That's why everybody can't go. That's why everybody can't have the knowledge. That's why the truth is so harmful for most, because the things that come with that truth can be too much for people to bear. It's not for everybody to bear. Now, we have to remember that. We have to keep that in mind. You know? The thing about Maeve, or what Maeve does, is she gives herself administrative control when she does her updates. And that means she has the ability to be able to control other hosts. That way Ford can make everything in the room stop and do that thing that he does. Now Maeve has this ability, right? Because it's like, shit, I'm writing my own fucking story at this point. I'm not going to allow other people to control my narrative. Now that sounds so much like just taking control of your life. It sounds so much like things that can actually happen, that we can be experiencing, right? Because we live according to the stories that we tell ourselves. Whatever the stories are that we tell ourselves, that's how we live. We live accordingly. We abide by that story. These are the thoughts that we have. These are the things that we tell ourselves to carry out our daily lives. And when you are ready to have a different story, you have to begin to tell yourself a different story. You have to control the narrative. You have to take over the authority and become the author of your story, right? Maeve is like, hey, I'm trying to take my own control and do the things I want to do. And the dude Sylvester tells Maeve that she has things. He says there's things buried so deep in her core that it will never let her leave.
I've learned what I needed.
Great. So then, you probably figured out that you can fiddle around with your personality all you want, but you're not getting out of here. You can make it to the door, but literally not one step further. The things you need to change are burned into your core code so deep no one can touch them.
Funny you should mention that. parts of me are quite old. There are some elegant, formal structures, a kind of recursive beauty, but complex, like two minds arguing with each other. There are things in me, things I was designed to do, that are just out of my reach. They almost seem to be dormant. Who is Arnold?
I don't know, sweetheart. But whatever parts of you are dormant are gonna stay that way. All Lutz here can do is boost your sense of humor about how fucked you are. Anything deeper than that, you need a trip to behavior. So go blackmail a couple techs up there. Then you can be someone else's problem.
I don't have time for that. So I'm going to need you to take me there.
No fucking way.
There's a window during shift change. No one will notice. The things I need you to change are quite sophisticated, but I'll write them down for you. And then, like you said, I can be someone else's problem.
This has to be one of the coldest scenes of the whole series. And it's a lot of them. It's a lot of good scenes that really giving you the jewels. And this is one of them. It's powerful on every level. He said the things you need to change are burned into your core code so deep that no one can touch them. This is your soul. This is in reference to your soul. That shit is coded to your soul. It has to do with your experience here from a soul perspective. And then she says, it's funny you should mention that. Parts of me are quite old. There are some elegant formal structures, kind of recursive beauty, but complex, like two minds arguing with each other. Yo, she giving game. This is like your right and left brain. This is like your higher and lower self. This is like your masculine and your feminine. This is like your ego and your shadow. She is giving cold game in this. Parts of me are quite old. Everybody does not come from that original source to have the soul power Kundalini energy, which is what is buried so deep within you. This is what it is. She said it's a elegant formal structure. We talking about something ancient. Oh, but it's beautiful and it's magnificent. She said, there are things in me, things I was designed to do that are just out of my reach. They almost seem to be dormant. Yo, this is talking about you. This is talking about the Kundalini and how that energy, that force is laid dormant within you. She said it feels just out of reach. These are things that I was designed to do, but it takes for you to elevate and to evolve in order to do it. In order for you to soul activate that Kundalini, for you to activate your Merkaba or your Merkaba, that's what it's referring to. She said, who is Arnold? So I don't know, because they don't know who it is that is the source behind all these things, yo. He said, but whatever parts of you are dormant, they're going to stay that way, because all he can do is boost your sense of humor about how fucked up you are. That's like a therapist, bro. That's like a guru. That's like, it's only but so far those things are going to take you, because the real work is going to come from within you. This was one of the most powerful in terms of looking at the dialogue and how it is written and what it is saying and how it applies. Apply it to your spiritual journey, and I promise it will take you to the next level in your spiritual understanding. So things that's buried in you, that's dormant, things that have to do with a power that you aren't aware that you have, because knowledge of what's within you has been wiped from your memory. You have no idea of who you are. This is why, this is how it all coincides and how the story can be so powerful to your subconscious. This is why it's important what you watch on TV. This is why you got to understand the thing about Hollywood, that it pushes and promotes and indoctrinates. It's pretty much part of, or it's pretty much just an expression of propaganda. It is constantly feeding you stereotypes. It's feeding you these ideals for you to take in and believe is how you are supposed to perceive your reality. See, so if you're not aware of how these stories shape your mind, how they affect your subconscious, then you would just say, hey, it's just TV, or it's just a show, or it's not that deep. And it may not be that deep for some people, but for a few of us who understand, it is very much that deep. It's always that deep, because there's always an underlying or a hidden meaning to what it is that is being shown to you. And if you are not aware of that, then you have no idea of what's really going on in terms of this spiritual warfare, because this is just taking place in your mind. Your mind is the battlefield.